Alright guys, welcome back. CFP here, and this is Survival Living. So, part of our prep stuff, being preppers, having your vehicles maintained. I know it doesn't sound all that exciting as preppers. It's not weekly prep videos of food and ammo and things like that, gold and silver. But, the Tahoe here, we rely on. We put EMP shield on this thing so we know it would crank, we keep fuel stored up. We try to keep everything operational. Now, today we are changing out the brakes. As you've seen in the past, the alternator went out, had to change the alternator. Well, because the alternator went out, I had to go see why the alternator went out. And it was the belt tensioner gave loose, and it was just too weak. Caused the belt to slip, burn up the alternator. Also went ahead and changed the belt today because the belt got burned up pretty good and it was doing a squeal in and all that good stuff. So we changed the serpentine belt today. We have some overcast skies, as you see the puddles. Trying to work on this in between the rain because it's raining. Of course, the day I've got off. But hey, I worked in mud puddles before. Now, let's see what we got here, guys. This is the rotor, brake caliper, brakes, new brakes that we have here. Now this one here, I don't know if it's all Chevrolets, but two nuts on the back side are Allen bolts. So this one here is 3/8, and there's one on the bottom and one on the top. So you got to release that to get the caliper off. You got to get the caliper off to get these pads out and push the caliper back. Now, the correct way to do this, of course, and I just tightened that bolt. Had to go down. The correct way to do this, of course, is bleed your lines after changing your brakes, all that good stuff, and that's actually the correct way. As long as you don't have a check valve going up to your brake reservoir, your master cylinder, you can actually just use a C-clamp and push that piston back as long as you've got the cap off your brake reservoir, and it pushes the fluid back, and that will actually keep you from having to bleed the brakes. Now our back brakes are fine. Those are regular drum brakes. These are the rotor brakes, disc brakes. So these here are worn down. It won't be long before they start hitting the little metal clip up here. That's going to want to cutting into the rotor, and since I don't want to replace the rotor, we'll just go ahead and change out the brakes. So I'm not going to bore you with me turning this because I can only turn it so far since I don't have a Allen head socket this size, not with me. A lot of our tools, guys, because we're living out of that 6x12 trailer, is in storage. We only keep the essential tools that I need just to get by with on a day-to-day basis, and other projects that we might be doing here at the house. For our trailer axle, we are still looking around, guys. We did have some financial support from a couple subscribers. Guys, I definitely appreciate that. I sent an email to y'all. If y'all want shout outs on that, let me know. I did not get a response yet on the emails I sent, but I do appreciate that help. We are still shopping around. Today, while I was riding around getting everything else done, I checked on one junkyard that's in the area, and the other one is no longer here. So the one I did check on, he deals just strictly automotive, didn't have anything. There are a couple designs that we're looking at. One is getting rid of the axle entirely. They have its own independent spindle setups that hook directly to each frame without a axle. Now, of course, dealing with that, I want to make sure the load capacity is there, and all the parts are you can replace each part. So we're looking at that as well. But as of right now, for our cheapest way around, it looks like we will be going with a straight axle and swinging in leaf springs. Since I do not have a welder, I've been checking on areas that rent welders, weld machines. If that is not feasible, we'll be bolting through the frame for the leaf spring racks for the hanger racks for them. Yeah, make sure you got a hammer when you're working on brakes. Makes your job much easier. So yeah, we're going to be checking on that as well. Right now that looks to be our cheapest option. It's not the easiest option, but it is the cheapest option. So we are probably going to be doing that, guys, as long as I can match up the hubs with the spindles on whatever straight axle we get. If I can match those up, that saves us on having to buy extra spare tires. That one tire is chewed up pretty bad. That's going to go to the spare tire. We got 2 brand new spare tires, and the other tire on the other side is actually in really great shape. So instead of having to buy a whole bunch of new tires, it's just better if I do it that way. Anyway, guys, let me go ahead and get this off and bring you right back. Alright, moment of truth. So the bolts are out, and we're going to pop this caliper loose. Of course, I'm using an oversized pry bar. I know, but it will work. Usually I just use a lady's foot, and that is actually called the tool name. It's well, at least that's what we call it. Looks like a little boot coming off. Usually I just use that, but I don't have one available right now. These calipers are rusted up, but it's all on the outside. Looks like this brake still has some life in it, but we will be changing it out. And I just seen, whoa, you guys see that? The groove? That's actually not a groove, that's actually a raised spot. There's a raised spot on the back side of this rotor. Now checking my edges of my rotor, these have never been turned. Alright, so if I had the opportunity and I had a way to a mechanic shop that has a lathe, I could actually take these rotors in, have them turned, put them back on, and be good. I don't have that option. So, because I don't have that option, we're just slapping these pads on. Alright. Having that high spot isn't as bad as having a groove in your rotor. Alright. These pads don't look too bad, but there it is. Alright, so our caliper, it's right here. Show you the easiest way is to take your old brake pad, stick back in position. Well, in a position anyway. Alright, that'll work. And grab a C-clamp. This is a new C-clamp. This is a cheap C-clamp. Our stuff's at storage, so since I was in town, decided that this will work. Now remember, I've got the cap off the brake reservoir. There is not a check valve on this system that I'm aware of, but while we're applying pressure on this, we're going to see if we got a lot of resistance, we're going to wind up stopping. And then we're actually just going to bleed the line, open up the bleeder valves, and then push it back that way and just have to bleed out the whole system that way. But I've been able to get by with this in the past many times. Now the reason I put the old brake pad in, I don't want the end of this pushing on the back side of that piston. If the piston was to seize up, I don't want to puncture a hole in it. So doing it this way works pretty well. You just slowly bring it back. And if you need to reset it, you can. Just like that right there. And just keep pushing that piston back. Basically, you're pushing these pistons back, making room for the new pads that go on this rotor. Now, I'm sure there's plenty of other mechanics out there screaming and hollering, you got to open up those bleeder valves. I've been able to get by with this for a long time. Very rarely do I ever have to open up the bleeder valves when I do this, and it works fine. Will it work every time? Well, maybe not, but it's always worked good for me. Now, we've got our new pads. But that's how I do it. I've never had any problem. Is it the correct way to do your brakes? Probably not, but you'll pick up all kind of little tricks of the trade being in the trade. So if you don't like doing it that way, hey, don't do it that way. Like I said, I've never had any issues. All right. Now these go in just like this. That's the back side, and I lost the front one. Oh, there's the front side. All right. New pads are on the rotor. And that is not a fixed rotor, so we'll move around a little bit. Now, I'll get this in position again. Get these new pads on here. Alright, so we got our caliper back on. Now we'll just run these bolts back in the correct way. So that's the bottom one, and that's the top one right here. Now once you snug these up, since I had to take it off with a hammer, I put it back with a hammer. This is our brake line. This right here is our bleeder valve. Let the fluid out if we got air in our line. We won't be using that today. And like I said, guys, I took it off the hammer, I put it back with a hammer. Just habit. I want to make sure that, went the wrong way again. I want to make sure that it doesn't come off or work its way back loose. Now, of course, I'm not going to sit there and beat it to death because I will have to get it back off. I'm going to have to do brakes again, but snugging it back down is a good idea with a hammer. Alright, this side's done. We're going to put the tire back on, and we'll lower it down, jump on the other side, and get that side done, and then the brakes will be done. Alright guys, so we replaced the alternator. That is our belt tensioner, and this is our brand new belt. So what happened, guys, this tensioner went out. I mean, it was almost at a 90 degrees. I could actually move it by hand, burn out the alternator, which eventually scorched the belt as well. I believe the belt got scorched first because it was making a lot of racket. Now, I changed out the radiator hoses and the thermostat, which is inside the thermostat housing there. When we got the vehicle, I believe the next project is probably going to be the water pump. It's not leaking, but since I'm already having to change out other things, yeah, the air conditioning is looking a little rough. That's probably going to be something we will be saving up for and tackling before there's an issue. But thankfully, V8s are great to work on. Now, this is actually the first Vortex I've ever had, but you know, it's not hard. There's simple engines to work on. So yeah, no major issues. We still have our EMP shield back there. That is special thanks to Vehicle News. They had that great discount with EMP shield, and we got an amazing deal on that. So yes, that is still equipped on our Tahoe. So he's on over here. Now we got to do this side. So guys, I've had people comment on my pocket knife because it's got an external clip and it slides right in my pocket, front pocket. Dude, why are you always carrying a weapon? I'm not carrying a weapon. This is a tool, okay? You can work on freaking cars with a knife. Dumbasses. Anyway, I don't know why I just thought of that. I did have someone tell me, you know, you shouldn't be walking around with a weapon. This is a weapon-free zone. I said, that's not a weapon. That's a tool. All right? A knife, pocket knife, is a tool. Can it be used as a weapon? Well, yeah, if you know how to use it, absolutely. There was this other YouTube channel. They had ran a question thing saying difference between fixed blade and folding knives, which one's better? Well, it depends on the situation, you know. And he did leave a comment saying you can send in any comments, your thoughts on the thing, because one of the things he was saying was because these are folding, they're more dangerous to cut yourself. I've never cut myself with my own knife. I've had knives since I was a kid. I'm mindful of my knife. I don't cut myself. When it starts getting dull, I sharpen it. But yeah, I guess in a way he is right. Now, is there more chance of failure with a foldable knife? Absolutely, because it has working parts compared to a fixed blade, full tang blade. But you know, for a small pocket knife, it works very well. Now, this particular knife is a Harbor Freight special. Okay, I've had this one for about 3 years, almost 4 years now, and they recalled them. See the little star nut right there, bolt? Well, like a firearm, some knives need to be maintained, and over time that starts working its way out, which will cause the little clip from sliding into place and locking that blade down, and it won't lock it down. Someone will go to use it and it'll flip out on their fingers. So just like any other tool, do your maintenance on them. I'm not turning in mine. It's actually a very lightweight, dependable blade, is why I keep it. So let's go ahead and knock this thing loose. I'm going to break it loose, jack it up, take it off, slide the tire underneath, and bust this brakes out of here, and move on to the next part. Alright guys, so brakes are done, fluids are topped off, I am filthy, time for a test drive. So far brakes feel good. So far brakes are working. Let's test out the brakes before we leave the yard. Might be a good idea. What do you guys think? Alright. Now, it's a little bumpy out here. We've got some individuals, see, that think that they work road crew construction. This is sandy roads. Florida is notorious for these sandy roads that just beat all the crap because 2 houses down here on the left, apparently the individuals work for the paper mill. So they're lumber trucks and they come through here banging the road all the crap. Now, you know, it is what it is. But then we have some local yokel, straight up hicks, mind you, I'm a redneck, that decide that they're going to drive around with their pickup truck towing a Jake blade behind them across this sandy road and try to fix the roads. And all they do is make mounds that they can drive through on rainy days like this, and they'll pull in the intersection cutting donuts and everything with their little S10 and hooping and hollering like they've got a, you know, a kick-ass four-wheel drive vehicle. Actually looks more like a Chevy Love pickup. Let me put it this way, every time he pulls this thing behind his truck, he has to stop in the middle of the road 3 times during up and down this road and let his engine cool because he overheats. You ain't got a truck, buddy. You got a Tonka toy. But actually it's more of a Hot Wheel. But seems like our brakes are working very well. So, in the words of Ron White, it was a good day, Tater. Alright guys, y'all take care, speak to y'all later. I'm gonna turn back around, go home, and actually I'm supposed to redo my headlights, or at least the headlight covers. I got one of those drill kits with the scrub brush and polishing wheel and all that stuff. I've seen other people use them. I don't know if they're any good or not. I'm gonna give it a try. I do know the old rectangular headlights I've got on the Tahoe are orange riding down the road. So if I can kind of brighten up those lenses without having to replace lenses, would be awesome. If not, I'm going to look for some type of aftermarket headlights for the Tahoe, something brighter, because what's on it right now just sucks. My wife has to drive this truck at night coming back from work, so having the ability for her to see better at night is definitely a good thing. She doesn't like driving at night. She can't see very well at night trying to drive, and the roads in Florida are just so baked. Sorry guys, it's kind of dark. It's getting evening. The roads in Florida here are just so baked that you can't even see the reflective stripes, lines, anything. Down here it just looks black and you can't see the lines or anything like that. So we're going to attempt it and see how well it works. I've heard some people say it works great. I've seen plenty of other people say it don't work very good at all. I've actually witnessed people do it and theirs turned out pretty well. And then I've seen people that have no idea and should not even have a drill in their hand attempt it and really screw up their headlights. So, since I do know how to use a drill, and I used to do automotive body work, shouldn't be too difficult. But then again, never know. Alright guys, speak to y'all later.